limited number of studies addressing this all-important issue of human behavior. And even where there have been studies, there is no consistency in the approach adopted in this research. Research in this area has been conducted by those in a number of differing disciplines, and consequently research approach and rationales vary considerably. Many of the methodologies are weak and cannot therefore be relied upon. Of the psychological literature, much of it is very specific to the environmental sector and ignores many of the fascinating and important findings from other areas. And so I think you can see the importance of moving ahead in a new direction. Now, Abrahamser has started to point us in the right direction. And he said that despite wide application, the attitudinal approach to encouraging environmental change has been under-researched in terms of specific interventions. And he advocates, in line with other researchers like de Young, that we need to shift our attention and we need to very specifically look at the elements within organizations that need to be addressed in order to achieve change. A focus on attitudes alone is not sufficient. There is a growing awareness of barriers, for example, individuals' past behaviors, a growing awareness of the importance of involving people in organizations, participation, a growing awareness of the importance of setting goals for individuals and giving individuals feedback on their performance towards a green and sustainable future. So here are some of the areas that Abrahamser has plotted out that we need to focus our attention on. And I would highlight procedural areas on the left, participation top right, and feedback at the bottom. So what I'm saying here with my colleague, Professor Joras, is that really what we need to do, and this is a wonderful place in which to talk about this vital change, is reframe initiatives as change initiatives within organizations. And we need to move away from the ghettoization of green behavior and bring it more into mainstream thinking. There is evidence to support the effectiveness of psychological interventions in changing human behavior. And we need to reframe the issue, as I said, as a change problem. If we do not do that, there is a risk that organizations will not change. And rather than focus on changing attitudes, many people would say that actually the main focus should be on changing behaviors. It's much easier and quicker to change behaviors than it is to change attitudes. And I'll give you one example amongst many I could give you of that. I did some consultancy in a small organization in the music industry where there were very bad relations between different members of staff. And somebody came up with the suggestion that what we should do was introduce a billiards table into the recreational area. And that was astonishing, the effect of that billiards table, because it brought people together, they started playing together, there was a behavior change, and within a very short space of time, people who had been bitter enemies started to become collaborative colleagues. All that through a change of behavior. So we're talking about the importance of changing behavior. Now, a lot of the effort in changing behavior thus far has been to encourage pushing people into a particular direction. But pushing people, as we all know, is not the best way of getting change. A much more effective approach is the pull based, user-owned approach. Hence the importance of participation in the earlier model. Involving people, gaining their hearts and minds is all important. It will provide the new breath that this conference is all about. So I'd like to end this short presentation by talking very, very briefly, and I'll be finished very shortly, on what I believe are the important future directions for creating a sustainable green future for all of us. And I think we need to begin by engaging in further research, specifically at the issues I've been talking about today. We need to focus very specifically on how we achieve certain behavior outcomes, not just intentions, not just attitudes, but how we actually get people to change their behaviors. So what we need to do is extend our attitudinal models. We need to include individual variables such as gender. Look at how we're going to get women on board. How are we going to train women to assume a more important place in creating a green, sustainable future? I mean, at present, women are very underrepresented in college degrees in important relevant areas, environmental sciences, physics. They're only about 30 to 40% of students. And we need, as I said, to engage in research, and robust research that will be able to indicate precisely the impact of certain initiatives. And a research project could look something like this. What would be really interesting would be to have different scenarios. We could have a control group on the one hand. We could compare that with an intervention which is technology-led. And on the other hand, we compare those two approaches with what I have called a socio-technical approach, which actually brings into the frame individual behavior. And I don't know, I'm not a betting person, but I would happily lay a bet that any initiatives which were anchored in the socio-technical approach would be much more likely to succeed than either of the two others. So I'd like to leave you, ladies and gentlemen, with this model in your mind, that in order to have the new breath that this conference is importantly focused on, we need to have a new look at how we can change organizations. And in order to drive us towards a more sustainable green future, we need initiatives that are anchored in procedures, that are employee-led, not top-down, but bottom-up. We need to involve people. It's a hearts and mind activity. So I'd like to leave you with those thoughts today. And if you have any questions, please do email my colleague, Florin Juras, or myself, gloria.moss@bucks.ac.uk. And if you're emailing us, think of those beautiful green forests in which we are located. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Well, actually, don't go away. If there are comments or questions, any questions? Yes, please. You will be provided with a microphone just shortly. Where is the microphone man? Okay, I'll give you.
Thank you very much for your very nice explanation on theoretical level. But I wanted to ask you an individual question. What are your personal steps towards sustainable development? Maybe you can share your own ideas. What ideas and what steps have you made already towards sustainable development and so on?
Well, as I say, I'm working in conjunction with Professor Juras, and what we are doing is both at a practical and at a theoretical level. So at a practical level, we are looking at